Hello, 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 everybody. It is so great to see all of your non-existent digital faces in the chat. Welcome into Arc 3, Episode 1 of Transplanar RPG. My name is Connie, my pronouns are they, he, and she, and I am your wonderful GM and executive producer of this here shindig. Transplanar RPG, which is our all transgender people of color-led 100% homebrew Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition live-streamed actual play campaign set in an original non-colonial anti-orientalist world. You can find me on Twitter and on itch at by Connie Chong. I am also a professional GM with Magpie Games curated play program. Unfortunately, all of my May games are sold out, but June I'll be running one-shots of the official Avatar, The Last Airbender / Legend of Korra tabletop roleplay game. So if that's interesting to you, bookmark magpiegames.com/curated-play/. And now I am going to pass along introductions to Devin.
Hello everyone, my name is Devin. I use they, them pronouns. I gotta revamp this now. And I'm the artistic director of Shout, Minnesota's trans and gender diverse voices, an all trans, people of color led choir. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Shout Minnesota. Blah 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 blah. Also on the Discord. Listen, even though I'm technically on the internet now and doing social, I'm not actually doing the social media, and that's another person that's doing that. But still join our Discord. It's a wonderful, wonderful place that I will spend no fewer amount of time on looking at your beautiful pets, your beautiful faces, and your horrible, horrible campaign theories. Dear God, y'all. And with that, I'll pass introductions on to Erica.
Hi, everybody. I'm Erica, she, her pronouns. I play Vinoc Scherzo, that lovable high elf sorceress with draconic ancestry who will steal your heart and then steal your gold. And I am a streamer here on Twitch, Erica New Girl. Some of you may know me already. And I've been a horror streamer for a while. I've started speedrunning Resident Evil 7. I am now 223rd in the world. I expect to break 200 sometime in the next week or so. And I'm also this weekend raising money for Game On and Lupus. I'll talk about that a little bit later, but I would like to hear and meet one Max.
That would be me. Hey, I'm Max. I go by they, them pronouns. I play Dewey Quirk, Resident Bird Boy. And you can find me mostly on Instagram at Stitchmonger. I just finished up a big order, so I'll start posting things again, I swear. And I'll pass it to C.
Hey y'all, my name is C. I use they, them pronouns. I'm a dancer, digital artist, tabletop streamer, variety streamer as well. You can see that there is some new character art on the overlay. If you're interested in commissioning me for digital art of your tabletop party, please feel free to follow me on social media at PieSharpArt or check me out on Twitch, streaming art usually, but also sometimes video games at pie_sharp. I play Okahye, your local god taxi. And with that, I will pass it along to Connie for future programming.
Wonderful. Thank you for all of those beautiful introductions, my wonderful cast. And as a reminder, the only piece of programming we do have on this channel is this, our weekly D&D session, Saturdays at 3 p.m. U.S. Central Time, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. So again, we would greatly appreciate your support in this continued adjustment by tuning in Saturdays. That's right now, telling your friends about us, tweeting about us, Instagramming about us, etc. Thank you to everyone who has left very kind YouTube comments on the VODs of past episodes. That really means a lot, and I read every single one of them. I am also excited to announce a 2-day charity stream that Transplanar RPG will be hosting next Wednesday. That's not this coming Wednesday, but the following, May 19th and Thursday, May 20th. The name of this charity stream is Roll for Solidarity, uplifting Asian and Black creatives in TTRPGs. There will be 6 discussion panels spread across both days from 4 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Central, featuring incredible panelists that I'm putting together, including Devin and Max. Not Max. Max is helping. Devin is going to be paneling. And all donations will be split evenly between Stop Asian Hate and Black Lives Matter organizations. The purpose of Roll for Solidarity is to build bridges, strengthen unity, and share our joys and truths as Asian and Black creators alike. I will be releasing an official announcement this coming Monday, May 10th, with more details about this event. In the meantime, mark your calendars for next Wednesday, May 19th, and Thursday, May 20th, from 4 to 8:30 p.m. Central on both days. And with that, I will pass things back to C.
Yes, you absolutely will. As always, you know us, you love us, but you can check out our amazing promo partners with other trans, queer, and BIMPOC-led streams, pods, and projects by using the ! Promo partners in chat. And for all of you who pressed X last week to doubt me, get fucked, because we have updated our merch store. I have updated our merch store, okay? You can use the ! Merch command to go to our Redbubble page. I'm sorry that Redbubble sucks. You might have to try to, I don't know, like search to find stuff. But what's on there? The shit cow is on there, okay? You can get shit cow socks. You could get a shit cow t-shirt. You know what else is on there? A Dalapathi Saeed apron, motherfuckers. You could get a Dalapathi Saeed apron. I did that for you, okay? To all of you who doubted me, this is my retribution. Okay, understand me this. Understand me this. There's also, you can get posters of Rev and V being gay, and there are also all stickers and buttons of the Twitch emoji stickers, stuff like that, so you can get your favorite PCs headshots doing silly stuff. And also, if somebody please get the Dalapathi apron, so help me God. I am literally begging you. But you can use the ! Merch store command to do that. And yes, I spent a lot of time on that. You're welcome. And I will finally, now that my moment of retribution, my vindication, sweet vindication, I will pass things over to Erica.
Hi, everybody. I don't know how to follow that up, except that we love to thank people here at Transplanar who have subbed, gift subbed, donated, cheered, and all of that during our Arc 2 interlude last week with special guest B. Zelda. Thank you to Max Morkson, Crude Imposter Nightbright, Purple Mouse, Erica Newgirl, B. Zelda, Totally Fine, Shell Dengeki, Key Squared, Himbo Claus, Toaster with Wi-Fi, Pukey Piku, Pie Sharp, and Cassidy, Marvelous, and Rika Honda for your generous contributions. We really appreciate it. Also, for this stream, we are raising money for the Game On to End Lupus campaign. This is a group of over 90 streamers now raising money for Lupus Foundation of America. Lupus is an autoimmune disease where the immune system of the body mistakes the body for being the enemy, and it starts attacking itself. And this can manifest pretty much in several different ways. No two lupus patients may have the exact same symptoms because it can come up in different types of ways. It could be fatigue, photosensitivity, it could be kidney issues, it could be brain fog, and there's all sorts of things. There's a rash that happens over the face that's called like the butterfly rash, mylar rash. There's all sorts of things that happen, and it's an expensive diagnosis. Treatment is often not covered by insurance. So the Lupus Foundation of America gathers funds which go towards research, advocating on behalf of lupus patients, and also trying to provide resources, whether it's support groups or financial aid or anything like that. So all funds that we raise here today will go straight to the Lupus Foundation of America. And as a team, we're approaching $75,000 on day 2 of the campaign.
Let's get some hype in chat for that, because holy shit.
We have one more day. Tomorrow's our last day of the weekend. And so what you see here is I have already raised $1,585 on my own channel since yesterday morning. Many of you have been there and hung out with me while I played Resident Evil 8. Thank you so much for just hanging out, and for those of you who have contributed in any such ways. And for today, here we have a bunch of fun incentives for you all. I am looking forward to these. If we reach $25 here during this session, V must drop what she's doing to pickpocket somebody. If we reach $50, V must cast a spell, any spell, as soon as possible. If we reach $75, V must monologue about the situation at hand. And for $100, if we reach that V, backstory, flashback, OMG. And as always, with subbing, cheering, and gift subbing, that does support the stream. We still appreciate that if you want to give to the stream. And we have a 10 sub goal for today's stream. I think I've said everything I need to say. You can go to ! Charity at any time to pull up all of that information. And with that, Max, can you please remind... Oh, yes?
Just one clarification, we are raising money for Erica's channel, so if you're going to try to find the place to donate on Tiltify,
Yep.
and you want to search for us, do not search for Transplanar RPG. We are not officially fundraising. Go through Erica Newgirl for that.
Yep. And the charity command does send a link directly to my campaign, but if you are on Tiltify, that's a great point, Devin. Thank you. So Max, please, can you remind me, because I can never remember anything, what is happening in the campaign right now?
Me neither. I would love to. As a reminder, you can always get to our super updated recap document by using !recap in the chat. We're going to bit.ly/transrecap. If you don't want to do some light reading right now, here's what happened last time. The team arrived in the Championship of Nabal for the Arc 2 Interlude Beach episode. On Bacchanalia Beach, everyone's partying it up like there's not a cataclysm happening. They met up with Bamba, the regent, who put them through a series of party game trials to make sure they were fit to claim an audience with the champion, Atalanta. V employs a little deception to decimate a watermelon, Oka becomes a fast and furious crab racer, and Manaya and Dewey become a cohesive beach volleyball team. And now they're on their way to the capital city of Rosso to have their long-awaited chat with Atalanta. And I'm gonna pass it to Devin for today's episode. Sorry, I just watched you put something in your mouth.
Devin, go for it, please.
Oh, yeah, sure. So, moving on to the title of Arc 3, Episode 1. Arc 3. As always, the titles of our episodes are taken from poems or songs written by queer, trans, and or people of color. The title of this episode, Lovers and Thieves, is from The Essential Rumi, by Rumi, translated by Coleman Barks. The full verse reads as follows. You have heard how the night is wide and long for the sake of lovers and thieves. We do the work of both.
Thank you so much, Devin. And as a reminder, content warnings for this campaign may include homelessness and houselessness, poverty and classism, a refugee crisis, natural disasters, economic injustice, alcohol and substance use, addiction, death of loved ones, memory loss, body horror, gore, fantasy violence, emotional trauma and baggage, self-destructive behavior, bloodletting, cult and cult-like behavior, and anxiety and panic attacks described in detail. So I'm getting news that we have several 25-tier donations put in already, along with a total of $125 between two anonymous donations. So how are we going to interpret this, Erica? Tell me.
I would be willing to sprinkle all four incentives essentially throughout the episode. I won't. Maybe if I can have a fun way of combining the two, I will, but let's sprinkle them throughout.
All right, you mad folks. We have unlocked all four incentive levels already, but keep giving if you can. Thank you so much to those who have donated. It means so much to us and to Erica and to this amazing charity campaign, so we appreciate it. And with that, let's entertain you with Arc 3, Episode 1. Oka, Manaya, Dewey, and V. Ribbit leads the four of you away from the sandy shores of Bacchanalia Beach. Dominating the horizon before you are the spiraling towers of Rosso, ginormous pillars of stone and cement where much of the capital's denizens live, work, and play, each one hundreds of feet tall, their jagged spires piercing the purpling sky as honeysuckle afternoon gives way to sinister night. But as Ribbit leads the four of you through the rocky grasses and sprawling settlements of Rosso's outer fringes, the towers draw into closer focus. There are 8 of them, one for each god, but many of the towers look broken, dilapidated, holes blasted into their sides or cracks spiderwebbing through the stone. 3 of the 8 towers are missing entire floors off the top. Canvas tarps, ladders, ropes, and other signs of construction are desperately stitched to the sides of these broken towers. And even now, from your distance and at this time of day, you can see people sitting in harnesses dozens of feet into the air, working hard to repair the damage. By way of explanation, as he leads you through the outer settlements, Ribbit says, "The cataclysm hit us hard. We thought the towers were going to crush us all. But they held, mostly. Now we're just trying to rebuild. Not everyone was so lucky, though." And as he says this, the four of you pass by a devastated neighborhood. There's a huge crater in the center and the broken remains of homes scattered nearby. You see people squatting over fires and temporary shelters erected from wood, tarp, canvas. These are regular people, families with children and pets, couples, older folk with nowhere left to go. You see a long line leading out of a tent where volunteers wearing green robes ladle soup and bread into bowls. And all four of you recognize these volunteers as members of the Children of the Chrysalis. And as the four of you pass by this scene on your way to the towers, what do you do?
Oka will kind of lean toward Ribbit and asks, "What happened here? Earthquake?"
"Oh no, this was one of the towers. The top fell during the cataclysm. We're still rebuilding. I know it's been a few months, but there was so much debris everywhere. We thought the sky was caving in. I believe that crater," and he indicates that huge crater where that's sort of like the epicenter of all this devastation. "That destroyed quite a few buildings. A lot of people died. Even more had to be relocated."
So, comets. No earthquake, the towers just started falling.
No. The ground shook. I thought it was going to open up and swallow us whole. We didn't know where all the shaking was coming from, and then we realized it was underneath our feet. It shook so hard that the towers began to crack and splinter. And he sighs and points at a nearby tower with a huge chunk missing. You assume that's the chunk that like fell down and created this huge crater. And he says, "That's the Tower of War."
Do I feel anything when I look at it? Like, from Vanash?
Yeah, Oka, as you look up at this tower in the distance, I think it's probably like 100 feet away, right? So it would have taken quite a mighty explosion for like debris to shatter from 100 feet off. But yeah, as you look up at this tower, you realize that there are streaks of red, like stone painted up the sides, as well as like black obsidian inlays, as well as like golden veins of like glittering light. And yeah, as you look at what Ribbit called the Tower of Rage, Vinash within your shattered soul, Oka, seems to recognize it as a site of worship for him. What do the rest of you do?
He wants to go hang out with the Chrysalis folks.
Okay. So V, you cut away from your group that's being led by Ribbit toward one of the central towers, and you make you walk perpendicularly off toward this ruined settlement, and you approach members of the Chrysalis. Are you trying to cut in line here, or are you just going to try to come up from the side and talk to them?
I think just cut up from the side.
Okay, as you get closer, you see there's several volunteers wearing these robes. They look very similar in terms of earnestness and exhaustion from the volunteer members of the Chrysalis that you saw in Dabathati, who were also ladling soup and giving out free food, basically operating as soup kitchens, right? In the devastation caused by the cataclysmic fallout in the Republic of Talmud. But as you approach these members of the Chrysalis, one of them turns to greet you and says, "Oh, excuse me, I'm so sorry, but the line starts back there."
Oh, no worries, friends. I'm not here to get to use your resources. I just see you look like members of the Chrysalis. Is this correct?
Oh, yes, we are. Certainly you've heard of us. We've been in the championship for a few weeks now, just trying to do the Chrysalis's work, spreading the good word, making sure everyone's taken care of after the old gods abandoned us.
That's very noble of you. I was just curious, friends. And correct me if I'm wrong, but did you sign some contracts before you did so?
Well, of course.
Wow, because you see, I too once signed these contracts. It was really an interesting experience. Back in Talamad, I got to meet Adam. Did you get to meet Adam?
Adam? I'm not sure the name is familiar to me, but you are a sister of the chrysalis, are you not? And I think this is like a pale white, like Loxodon person, like whose trunk is like laid over their heart in a gesture of goodwill to you. Please, you must throw on a robe and help us. Help these people who can't help themselves.
Well, actually, friends, I renounced the chrysalis completely, and V speaks very loudly at this point. I renounced the chrysalis completely because I have found them to be an extremely fraudulent organization filled with nothing but vileness at the very top of the institution. And if I were you all, I would run as far away from these people as possible, or go ahead. There's just a few of these folks. There's many of you. Take their food. And basically, I'm trying to start a riot.
Okay, I feel like that's going to take a role of some sort. Does this also count as your monologue about the situation at hand?
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, I think that that was a monologue.
Okay, so V, I'm going to need you to make a persuasion roll as you try to incite a riot with your words.
Sure. Hold on to me. I will do the roll. Ooh. Now I just gotta see what my...
Turn my back for 2 minutes to look at a tower, and V's busy trying to make people steal soup.
23.
Okay, that is not quite enough to make everyone riot and, like, break shit, but it is enough to get a few people to be disgruntled. As you say this, a couple people in the line say, yeah, why do we gotta line up for food anyway? And why do we have to give blessings to some god we don't even believe in order for us to get your food? This is messed up. Scott and Nectus! Scott and Nectus! Scott and Nectus! People start chanting, and I think the Chrysalis people are going like, no, wait, that's not what we want. Oh, hold on. And the White Loxodon woman, amidst all the chaos, is starting to bubble, right? Scott and Nectus! Scott and Nectus! And I think a couple of members of the crowd surge up to you, and they start to hoist you up onto their shoulders. And you're hoisted up above the sea of people, and they're all chanting. They start throwing rotten fruits and stones at members of the Chrysalis, while other members of the crowd move forward to shield the members of the Chrysalis. So it seems like they're pretty split down the middle, 50-50 here with your 23.
All right.
While this is happening, Manaya and Dewey, what did the two of you do?
I think Manaya, before this all happens, I think Manaya wants to make the comment of to Ribbit how when she grew up in Ohanahi, she heard stories of the towers and how grand they were, and give an apology to Ribbit of how far they have fallen, and well, this is the first time we've seen them, and they look like this. But maybe like towards the end of that spiel, Manaya turns around and is like, yes, and I'm sure we would all like to see what the towers would have looked like. By the gods, V.
Dewey was right about to get up in this conversation and turns around. And he looks at Manaya, looks back, and he starts yelling, Scott and Necklace, Scott, and then he makes his way over to V and tries to pull her down while chanting.
Oh my god, I love that. That's so funny. So yeah, V, you feel little feathered hands come up and like grasp you and try to pull you down from the heads and shoulders. And this White Loxodon woman who had these robes on is like looking at you with her like crimson eyes, right? And her like trunk is still stroking over where her heart would be. And she says, like quietly, like over like the din of everyone chanting, like this is just to you. And you hear her say, "You will pay for this, sister. Not many walk away from the chrysalis unscathed." And then like she like disappears into the crowd. Yeah, she like backs off, you know, and like gnomes and halflings and humans surge forward and take her into the crowd. So V, as you are hoisted back down from the shoulders of these cheering populace, what do you do?
Just looking around, these are all refugees. These are all people who look pretty on hard times, right? There's no one here who looks like they're very well-to-do, correct?
Yeah, this. If you're looking for your next target to pickpocket, these people might not be the best. You might just pickpocket like mothballs and old dirty coins.
So yeah, in that case, V is just gonna be like, Skade Nectus, and just follow Dewey back to the party and slowly like die down and just be grinning as she joins back to the party.
I love that. So as V and Dewey are borne back to the party, Oka, how are you reacting?
I think maybe there was a funny moment where, or not a funny moment, but a moment of what's it called? A narrative foil where if the Loxodon woman is like touching her heart, Oka is also kind of like touching their chest, as they feel like Vinosh stirring, like something happening. And then they kind of like blink out of whatever like reverie as like the chant goes up and they like turn, they turn. And as V finally approaches, they're like, glad to see that you're taking this Paragon business seriously.
I just think if you're going to destroy one cult, why not start another cult to fight that cult?
I don't know if I would quantify. And then Oka kind of just like looks away. And have you had your fun? Are you done?
I mean, let's continue. And suddenly V looks very dejected, like she's in trouble.
Yes,
I
I think we've had our fill of causing riots and hurting people in places we aren't from.
Hey, I wanted those people to get access to food and resources. Why should they allow this cult to gatekeep them?
Listen, I know, but let's just go. I'm sorry, Ribbit. Let's just get to the towers.
It's okay. I mean, Atalanta does have her hands full of just problem after problem. I mean, these cultists are definitely one, but hey, they're providing food, they're providing medicine and help, and we need all the help we can get. And on that, Ribbit hops through the rest of this shattered neighborhood and leads you to one tower in particular. But before we get there, yes, Oka.
I think on the way, Oka kind of like hangs back with V maybe for a second, and then they kind of like sling an arm over her shoulder and go, Skade Nectus, before like dragging her away a little bit.
I love that. So as you are led through this capital city now of Rosso, like closer and closer toward the center, Dewey, you would know this, but I don't know if the rest of you would. Rosso is divided into 8 neighborhoods. Each one is known as like a blank plaza. So for example, the War Plaza is the name of the neighborhood where Eudabathi's tower is. And that tower isn't called Eudabathi's tower, though colloquially it can be referred to as. It is called the War Tower, or the Tower of War. And the Tower of Thread is the one for Nitbiuza, etc. And these 8 towers are sort of scattered all throughout this capital. So they're not clustered close together. They're like spread throughout the capital. Ribbit leads you to the Plaza of Risk and Reward, which is the central area of the capital where the tallest tower is. And all 4 of you see now this massive tower of risk and reward sitting upon a raised stone dais with huge marble stairs and ramps cutting up and leading toward it. I think like Lincoln Memorial, right? Like the steps leading up to it, but like even bigger. And as you crane your neck up to look at this tower, you can't see where it ends. The top of it disappears into the oncoming looming darkness. You see circular landing discs fanning out at 50-foot intervals around the tower, spiraling up like leaves jutting out from the stem of a flower. You also see an exterior ramp, maybe 15 feet wide, wrapping up the entire length of the tower like an inverted lighthouse, right? With no banisters or railings to speak of. Finally, you see these huge gilded entryways made of bone and horn interspersed around the base of the tower, like the many entrances into like a Roman Colosseum. And warm light spills out from the many glass windows glittering up the sides of the tower. And as the hour grows late and the last of the light begins to leach away from the sky, people start to return into their homes, retreating either into the flatter buildings surrounding the Risk and Reward Plaza or into the Tower of Risk and Reward itself, which Ribbit is hopping up the stairs of, leading you toward. What do the four of you do?
How does this tower look in comparison to the others in terms of damage?
This one has also been damaged, but based on like the construction, the active construction that's happening up its size, it seems to have been prioritized over the others. What about the rest of you?
What are like the people around this area?
Like, what are they like?
Yeah, like what's going on people-wise around here?
Sure. It's really interesting. As you're looking at the tower and that huge like ramp and staircase wrapping up the sides, you see people like jogging up and down it, like they're having an evening jog, you know? And some of them are jogging really close to the edge, and they're like 25, 50, like 75 feet up, right? You see other people, they're like bringing in they're weeding their like outdoor gardens. There's like a couple, and you see like a couple of them like calling their kids to get back into their homes. This part of Rosso definitely seems to be the most rehabilitated. You can still see signs of damage, like old scorch marks and like dents that have been plastered over, right, with like new masonry. But overall, like especially compared to the outer neighborhood that you just came in from the Plaza of War, Plaza of Risk and Reward looks pretty okay. And the people here seem a little bit more well-to-do.
Is it primarily residential then?
Yes, the buildings around the base seem primarily residential, though you do glance a couple of shops and specialty stores here and there. You, Dewey, would know, and I think this comes to you naturally, the rest of you, a lot of the commerce and community seems to be in the tower. So there's a lot of, this is not just a huge apartment building, but there seems to be like gambling parlors, like inns and taverns, like all the way up.
That's really cool. I love the design of this. Yeah, I think Oka would, has never been here before. This entire, like, Rosso is also on top of the lake, right? Like, so basically, like, we keep going over like bridges and stuff, like from the lake. Is that true?
So Rosso, the capital city, is on Clothau Island, which is a huge island in the middle of Ingir Lake.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. I was a little confused for a second. That sounds good. I think Oka is, kind of doing like spiraling steps, like they're like looking around in every direction a little bit, a little overwhelmed. Firstly, because I think we haven't been around like this many people in a long time, since we were in Dabathati, and they've never been here before. This is a brand new place to them, so they're like trying to get their bearings and are a little overwhelmed, but it's also beautiful, so they're like, looking up at it, like, holy shit.
Totally. Manaya, Dewey, how are the two of you taking it in?
I think Manaya is doing much of the same as Oka, but not as much. I mean, being from Uhanahi, there's definitely a sense of, because she's from the capital, a sense of grandeur and tallness, I guess, to the island as it's built into the side of the volcano. And so I think she's still looking around, definitely looking up, but keeping an eye on the party. And I think maybe she like grabs Oak and is like, whoa, watch where you're going. Watch where you're going. As they're like about to step into like a crack or something.
Yeah, totally. And they like kind of like bump against her, and they're like, oh shit, thanks. But then they immediately like, start looking around again.
I love it. How about you, Dewey?
Dewey's doing the thing where he's seen this, he's been here before. He's doing the thing where he's walking and kind of just like confirming that, oh, that's still the same. That's changed a little bit. I can't tell what. That's still the same. And so he's diligently following after Ribbit. And also at the same time, I think instinctively kind of like ducking and weaving because it's a busy place. And there are people all over. So
Yes.
he kind of forgets that the rest of the party might not be following right behind him.
Totally. Yeah. All around you, there's like people milling up and down the stairs, mostly up though. People are eager to retreat back inside as night, the starless night, is drawing close. And you see like fires being lit like all across the island as you get higher and higher up on the steps, so you can sort of get a vantage point. It seems to be like pretty similar to Dabathati. Like they will keep the home fires burning as the night rolls in and protect their streets, right? From presumably the strange, horrible beasts that have spawned that are ravaging all parts of Andake. So Ribbit leads the four of you through one of these huge grand entrances. You see like a pillars made of horn, right? Like spiraling like the huge gaping mouth of some predator animal as you stride through this entrance and inside the Tower of Risk and Reward proper. It's a massive space inside. You almost like can't see the other end of the base of the tower because it's so huge. It's like its own like mini town in here, right? It almost doesn't feel like you're indoors because it's so vast. And all around you, this is the ground floor plaza. You see like shops, clothing stores, boutique shops, specialty stores, like general goods stores, like fishing stores, etc., all over, like scattered about the ground floor. But a lot of them look like they're like drawing down shutters and they're closing up their windows and like closing up for the night. And also scattered about, you see, I don't think any of you but Dewey would know what they are. You see like lodestones or like little mini raised daises. Sprinkled about at intervals. Some of them look closed down and they actually have what's it called? Like not like barriers set up around them and like signs posted in every language being like, do not enter, like magic defunct, like no more magic, etc. Around these lodestones. And quite a few people are lining up behind several other like little raised dais platforms. And each platform seems to have an operator, a Nabalian person, almost like a guard, dressed in the colors of Scott and Nectus. And as you notice, you see one person like step up onto the lodestone, like holding like their child's hand. And the operator like moves their hands. A glyph appears underneath the child and the parent's feet, and poof, they're teleported away. And the people keep stepping up. This seems to be sort of like a fantasy like elevator system with like elevator operators who can like cast magic, right? So Ribbit is leading. It's going, well, let's see if we can get through because I'm an official assistant to the championship. Excuse me, coming through. It's Ribbit. Excuse me. And this little like Tropico Grung, old Grung man starts like shoving through, like cutting in line for the four of you, basically. What did the four of you do?
I think Oka nearly fucking jumps out of their skin the first time somebody like evaporates. But then it's so normal that they're like, oh, okay. They kind of like look at Dewey. What the hell is that? What the hell is that?
Elevators? They're so you don't have to walk, you know? All the way up?
You're a madman. Do you know that? Like a madman. And I think they're a little like, they're kind of like tentatively following Ribbit as we're approaching they don't trust like that. They don't want to be evaporated.
I love that. I would give you inspiration, but you're already full up. Yes, Manaya?
I wanted to ask Ribbit a question before we approach the crowd inside.
Okay.
Manaya probably, I think, walks up next to Ribbit and asks, so Rosso is on this entire island, right? So there must not be many creatures in the night.
You'd be surprised. Instead of monsters attacking the capital proper, it's all sorts of weird anomalies, magical, I don't know what to call them. The other day we had just a storm made of fire, just fireballs were raining down on one sector of the city. But yeah, we're mostly protected from monsters, though they do sometimes crawl out of the lake and try to get us. It's not really great for Bacchanalia Beach, but Bomba's pretty good at keeping us safe. Is that all?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. How about V? How are you responding to this? There's tons of people everywhere.
Yeah. Is there someone perhaps browsing some type of shop who looks particularly affluent and perhaps ripe for the picking.
Yes. Why don't you make a perception check to find a good mark?
It has been a hot minute.
It has been. I'm gonna use one of my.
Charity. It's for charity.
I'm gonna use one of my luck points to re-roll.
Oh, wow. I forgot you took that feat.
Yeah, so I got a 16.
Okay, a 16. I will give you two choices. One of the shopkeepers currently closing down shop is sort of like a portly lizard folk person with like a big belly, you know? They've got like this big tail, sort of look like Barney the dinosaur a little bit, like they're purple. They're like pulling down the shutters and they've got like these huge sacks of like bulging coins, what you assume, like attached to their waist. And they keep checking it, you know, they keep like looking at it, but they don't seem to have any bodyguards nearby. And the other person that draws your eye is on the other side, so like across, like very far away from Barney the dinosaur, let's say. And this person seems to have been like a gem shop person, and they're like locking up their gemstones for the day and like putting them inside a chest. And this person is a dwarf. What do you do, V?
Barney the dinosaur. What does what's around him?
The purple lizard folk?
Yeah.
There's people milling about him, but he's about to, well, rather they're about to like pull down the shutters to like shut down their shop. But inside the shop, it looks like a general goods store, and they also have like those coin pouches attached to their body.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna go to the purple lizard folk.
Okay.
And before they close down the shutters, he's like, "Oh my goodness, sir! What person? Oh my gosh! Stop what you're doing!"
Oh my! Is something wrong?
I am going to cast a brand new spell.
Oh boy!
Animate objects.
Animate objects. Okay, how does that? Okay, describe it.
I'm going to choose 10 small non-magical items in the shop to come alive and start. I can give them commands, and let's see.
Oh my
So
god! Okay.
I'm gonna cast it. I love this spell so much when I found it. So I'm gonna cast it and just scream, "Start pushing things over!" And it's gonna seem like maybe I'm talking to the lizard folk, but I'm actually talking to the objects to just basically tell them to start causing chaos in there, start pushing, making a mess.
I love that.
So hopefully, the idea is hopefully lizard folk will turn around, see everything, start freaking out, and I will have a time to take either some of the gold or the bag of gold or whichever.
Okay, I think they're like halfway done closing the shop when you shout that, and they look so confused, and then like bang, crash, bang, boom, snap, as like brooms and shelves and bottles and chests like rise, like jerk to life and start like smashing shit, you know? Like you see like a trunk like tip over a shelf, and the shelf get up and tip over the trunk, you know? And Barney the dinosaur goes, what? No, what's happening? I don't understand. Another rat infestation? No! And they pull the shutter back up and they start like unlocking the door to be like, whoa, oh no, my goods! And they look thoroughly distracted. V, what do you do?
I am going to attempt to take the gold or whatever I can grab, and at the same time sort of do a performance of like, let me help you, and I'll just scream stop at everything. And so hopefully one hand is putting stuff behind me while the other hand is out forward, and hopefully the objects will all stop and listen to me. And I want that moment where all the objects like turn and look at us and then like slowly turn back and go to their places.
Oh my god, okay. That is going to be a charisma sleight of hand check.
Perfect. I love both of those options. Are you sure you want to give me both of those options?
Yeah, so make your base charisma score plus your proficiency bonus with sleight of hand if you have it.
Yeah. I'm going to use another luck.
Oh my god. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to use a personal point of inspiration.
Okay, I'm going to take that off the board for you.
Okay, there we go.
What'd you get?
30.
What?
19 plus 11.
So is that our first 30?
When you say charisma plus my sleight of hand, you're talking about my two best bonuses.
Yes, I am. Okay, a 30. That is higher than Tiamat's armor class. That is a legendary feat of performance. So, V, tell me, how is this will be sung in the annals of heroic thieves forever? What do you do? Describe.
Monologue.
So it begins, V sprinting in slow motion, be like, and while that's happening, her other free hand with the little diamond palm is reaching around, grabbing the thing. She has to untie it. Meanwhile, this hand is slowly extending and grabs the pouch before it can fall, reaching around her back. Boom! And everything's just going to stop. And there's just going to be a moment of everything is calm. The objects look up, and they all turn to the lizard folk for a moment. And for a moment, are they going to turn on him? Are they going to do things to him? Are they rebelling? So in that time, in that brief moment of pause, she's going to finish strapping the gold pouch to her behind the back of her belt. And then quietly, she's going to mutter, "Everybody, go back to where you came from." And they're going to do all you see, the 10 objects affected, and they turn. If they're incapable of moving, they actually do levitate. That is part of the spell. So they might just levitate, go back to where they go. They turn to be right facing whichever way they're supposed to face, and with a dejected sigh, and V turns to our new friend and says, "That was a close one, friend. I have not seen that phenomenon in over 50 years. But I think we were able to stop a potential tragedy today."
What phenomenon? What was that?
It is, they call it a hint of the dragons. And there's mythologies that dragons used to be able to put their spirits into objects and make, when the time was right, they could use those objects to come alive and take out those who would seek their treasure. So someone would steal all of the treasure and then run away, and then the treasure would come alive and bring vengeance upon the dragons. And these objects must have at some time, thousands upon thousands of years ago, must have belonged to dragons. And here we are today. Again, I haven't seen this in 50 years, but today is the day that they decided to bring vengeance upon their dragon owner, or from their dragon owner.
Well, goddamn, spank me on my hiney and call me Scott, you magnificent bastard! You've saved my livelihood! How can I ever repay you? Please take the clothes off my back! Please!
No. I am simply a humble servant of Scald and Nectis. I am just trying to help do what we can here to prevent any harm coming to the citizens of Nabal or, the capital city. So please just take this as a gift from Scald and Nectis themselves.
You goddamn national treasure. Here, take the deed to my store. And this lizard folk person reaches into their jacket pocket and hands you the deed to their store.
Excellent. My first duty is to hire you to manage this shop. You're doing such a good job. Please manage.
Absolutely. Please give me your forwarding address so every month I can send you a little bit of money from my store as the owner.
All right. And V is going to give the address of Dr. Aluso, okay. I guess. That's the only...
Congratulations, V. You're now a business owner.
Yes, she's finally made it. She's finally gone down the right path, doing real business
to get rid
here.
of capitalism, and here is V becoming textbook capitalist.
Okay, wow. What a series of rolls. So you've swiped 500 gold from this person. So you can write that down in your in your inventory.
Shit.
And now you also own a small business inside this tower, which will give you passive monthly income.
What is life right now? Oh, thank you, everyone.
And you
who
can make
donated.
this happen yet again if you do a small donation to the Lupus Foundation of America.
How much of that 500 gold is going to charity, V?
Oh, all of this is going to the charity of the Sisterhood of Scott and Nectis, brought to you by V Scherzo. Someday you
God.
might actually find out what V stands for.
So on that, I think we go back to Manaya, Oka, and Dewey, who I'm going to ask the three of you, have you seen this? Have you witnessed this? Or are you busy taking in the tower?
I think if and when V comes back, Oka is like, I can't believe you saved that shop. Like, if she performed that well, right? Like, I can't see through a fucking 30 performance roll. Oka's like, wow, things really are hard. You did good, V. You did good. And they're like, they're still trying to not get any closer to the loading stone than they have to.
You know, I'm just one elf trying to do good in Andake. That's all. And meanwhile, V's like checking her bag of gold. And be like,
Yeah, V's face is like, holy fuck. Manaya, Dewey, how are the two of you responding?
You're always so quick to notice things going wrong, huh?
It's a
You're
gift.
sharp.
It's a
Yeah.
gift. I'm always very, very perceptive, even though I'm not.
And so is that giant bag of coins also a gift?
How did this get here? I didn't have this few moments ago. Well, I have it. I might as well keep it. But I put it like in my pack.
Manaya, how are you responding?
I can't think of a response, so I'm just going to say that this is all happening while Manaya is asking Ribbit about what's happening on the island.
Okay, yeah, Ribbit has like, ends with, and then of course there are the people disappearing by the coast. Oh, there you are. As V comes back and Ribbit's like, we were wondering where you were. Come on, we gotta go up to see Atalanta. Are you ready?
Is there maybe a ramp or stairs we could take maybe instead?
Atalanta is on the 395th floor. It will take you 2 days to walk that high, to get past all the magical barriers, etc., etc.
Well, suppose we'll see you in a few days then.
Stop, I can be brave.
Mhm.
And Oka, like, I think they maybe kind of kind of side, like almost sidling behind Manaya a little bit, you know, like, you go first.
Hey, you've been teleported by V before. It can't possibly be more dangerous than that.
What are you saying? My teleportation's very safe. You didn't see the watermelon incident. And then V just trails off.
Don't worry. The wizards of the towers are very competent, okay? We have had to shut down a couple of the lodestones, though, because unfortunately, several of the wizards have run out of magic. But that's just how it is, I guess. And Ribbit, like, cuts in front of the crowd, in front of a line. There's, like, a little, like, I think Aarakocra kid who goes, no fair! But Ribbit goes, life ain't fair, kid! And shoves past them, gets up onto the dais, and flashes a badge. With, like, a golden badge with Scott and Nectis, like, their symbols carved onto it, and shows it to, like, the nearby wizard.
Will you remind us again, Connie, what the symbols of Scott and Nectis are? And you mentioned their colors earlier, too. I'd like to hear.
Oh, yes. So the symbol of Scott and Nectis united is a fist holding the bagpipes and, like, playing it. So it is usually seen as, like, the fists represent Scott and the bagpipes represent Nectis. This badge has that on it. And this badge is just golden. I don't think it has the colors of Scott and Nectis on it. But the outsides of the tower would have their colors. Which I am going to remember right now. Red and purple. Red and purple. I'm glad I wrote that down for myself. So Ribbit flashes the badge to this like wizard who's this sort of like, I think like older like Leonin person, like with like a grizzled mane and like a graying muzzle. And they're holding like a thin like silver wand. And they go, "Okay, Ribbit, are these 4 with you?" "They sure are. Beam us up." "You got it." And they start like muttering something in like Nabalish, Dewey, which you would recognize as like an incantation for like safe travels and getting to the 390 like 4th floor. And they like spin their wand in the air. And as all 4 of you like settle down in the dais, you can hear like a boom, 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 as the bottoms of your feet light up with like a glyph, like bursting into golden light. And then all 4 of you feel a very peculiar sensation as your molecules disassemble. And the ground floor of the Tower of Risk and Reward whisks out of existence. And then your molecules reassemble on top of a different dais. And this room is a lot more empty. There's like no one here. You're beamed into kind of a dark antechamber, let's say. And it's smaller too. It almost doesn't even feel like the same tower, right? You're like, how could like this be the same place that we just came from? But you see all around you, this sort of feels like the foyer to like a grand mansion is the feeling here. You see like oak walls, and you see like old like oil paintings like scattered all around like the walls, the rounded walls of this chamber. And if the 4 of you would like to roll a history check to see who the portraits are of, you can.
Sure.
While those rolls are being done, I don't think Manaya is going to look at the portraits. Her first thought is, all right, I was just taken apart and put back together. I'm going to make sure everything's there.
Okay.
So she's like patting herself down, making sure she has her axe and everything.
I
and
love
then
that
remembers, I got shit in my soul too. So she like closes her eyes for a moment and is like, and thinks, "Princess, you still there? Did you make the trip?"
There's like a long silence. And then you hear the princess go, "I'm just kidding with you. Yeah, I'm still here." "Oh, you almost thought I was gone, huh? Oh, maybe that was a little too soon." And for that very funny, I think, check, you can get a point of inspiration. Manaya?
Oka got an 18, but I think similarly, they have like a few different things going on with their soul, right? Like it's not empty. God taxi. So I think like as they like reassemble, like not as solid as Manaya, they're kind of like frantically patting at the front of their shirt, you know? And maybe if Vinash is still in there, like a few, like just because they're stressed out, like a few like little like red sparks would like jump off their skin a little.
Oh, I love that. What a great description. What a great description. Thank you. So Oka got an 18. Dewey V?
Dewey got a 16.
I got an 8.
Okay, V, looking around, these paintings just seem to be of like a random assortment of people. They're all painted in the same manner, very dignified, but the backgrounds are different, the staging is different, the people, they don't seem to be related in like any way at all, like shape or form, but there are always 2 of them in each painting. Dewey, these are the champions and regents of ages past. Oka, you recognize the previous champion and regent. I don't know if you recognize anyone else, but hanging on like the nearest wall to you is, first of all, is Bamba. You see Bamba there, and I think because Bamba is the current regent, and the background here is like a beach background, right? And like Bamba is like surrounded by a cloud of bees and seems to be in the middle of laughing. And they're standing next to a tall, very serious looking Triton woman. And she has this like dark blue skin. She's wearing tough leather armor, and gills that sort of flare on the sides of her neck, and long flowing green hair, the color and consistency of kelp. And these 2 pearl white horns spring from her forehead. She appears to be a tiefling Triton. You also recognize the 2 people in the previous painting, Oka, and you can tell me how. One of them is, I think all 4 of you would know, is Quicksilver. the Rienti man, though in this one doesn't have a cowboy hat on, though does have like that like quick draw, like a weapon strapped to their waist. And this painting is staged very intimidatingly. Like there is like a throne of bones, like slick with blood, that Quicksilver is standing next to. And sitting on the throne of bones and gore is what's it called? A Felis, who is like a small cat-like person, like smaller than a tabaxi, think like Puss in Boots, right? And they've got like midnight black fur, right? On
Scourge from Warrior Cats? Do you mean Scourge from Warrior Cats? I'm sorry. What?
I can't say Scourge because of IP reasons, but yes, Scourge from Warrior Cats basically is like sitting on top of the throne and like licking their paw. And they have like leather armor on and like 2 daggers strapped to their waist. And all of these I think are like, all of their names are like lettered in Nabalish. Okay, you can't read the Nabalish, but you do know the name of the previous champion, Bloodthirst.
Right, of course. Bloodthirst.
Okay.
What kind of rule did Bloodthirst and Quicksilver hold over Nabal?
Okay, with your role, I can answer that one question for you, which is a tyrannical one. They like ruled the championship with like an iron fist. And because of that, they were like extremely divisive. A lot of people really liked how tough they were, and a lot of people didn't. And like the general consensus about this, like if this were on like an examination, like is that like they were tough, but they got shit done. They like passed a lot of laws and like they persecuted a lot of what they would call criminals.
Cool. I think Oka lingers at the paintings for moments before following Ribbit down the hallway.
Yes. Do the rest of you follow Ribbit as Ribbit goes, come on, no time to waste.
Yeah, V like took a moment to try to look at the things. I was like, meh, and then walked towards Ribbit.
Okay. Manaya, Dewey?
I think Manaya, after checking in with the princess, mentally gives like a physical, audible sigh of relief. And then maybe gets a little behind and like scurries up a little bit.
Okay. Dewey?
Dewey's walking like he doesn't like the sensation of being teleported, but it's happened before. So he's following Ribbit, looking up at the portraits, and they all look really scary. So he like glances at them and then like looks back down and follows Ribbit.
Literally scared of a painting icon.
It's a throne of bones and gore. I don't want to look at that.
Yeah, it's very intimidating, and it strikes a chord with your cowardly heart. The 4 of you follow Ribbit down one of several hallways that branch off from the central atrium. And Ribbit leads you down like a marvelous like padded hall with columns again of horn and bone. That seems to be sort of like the architectural design here, interspersed with like pillars with like fruits, bowls of fruit like on top, as well as like potted plants and ferns, etc., like hanging from the ceiling. And then you pass by a section of this hallway where the ceilings and the walls are translucent, and all around you is water. And it's like an aquarium, and you see fish like swimming all around you. You see like huge like sharks also like making their like way around town. Like even like a small whale, and like turtles, like a family of turtles like swimming. And just various schools of fish. And Manaya, because you're a sailor, you would recognize many of these fish, and none of them are like just Nabalish. Like you recognize a couple of Uhan fish, like rainbow fish, and like Uhan turtles. And then you also recognize like a couple turtles from like native to like the court, et cetera, et cetera. This seems to be like a menagerie, like an underwater menagerie.
I'm assuming this is the room with the regent or the champion in it.
This is more just like a hall that you're still going down.
Okay.
But then it suddenly opened up into like an underwater like viewing chamber.
Manaya audibly gets sort of a disgusted look on her face to displace all of these sea creatures into one place just to look at? Why would you do that?
And
She doesn't say anything out loud, but it's...
No, 100%. I actually really like that reaction. And you notice that quite a few of these species are like endangered too. Like they're very rarely seen in the wild. So as Ribbit like jumps, forward, they say, "Oh yes, this was one of Atalanta's projects to help preserve endangered species all across Andake. It's a passion project of hers that she'd had to put on hold after all this shit. Anyway." And the grung continues hopping down the hall until you enter another chamber where there's a door. A big gilded door made of just bleached white bone. And like these beautiful like pearl handles. "All right, are the four of you ready?"
Yes.
I guess so.
Under her breath, V's gonna mutter, "Skull-dan necklace, skull-dan necklace."
Manai's gonna like hit her on the arm a little bit, just like gently, and then look to Ribbit and nod.
"Okay, then I give you Atalanta, Champion of Nabal." And he throws open the door. And on that, we will cut to break. Okay, we will be back in 10 minutes, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. And to everyone who's donated, we're at 1,800, which is amazing. I believe we started at like 16 something. So you all are so incredible. Thank you so much for giving. V is going to pull so many more shenanigans in the second half, I'm sure. And enjoy the fan art reel. Enjoy the croon tunes for our break. And we will be back in 10. Thank you all. Speesh.
I learned this from a witch who was born of many gender. I learned to see a light. I learned to watch it glitter. I learned a secret from the light. I learned to watch it dancing. I learned to swallow light, to illuminate my darkness. I learned to feel love when I look upon my dark things. I learned this from a witch who was born of many gender. I learned to see a light. I learned to watch it glitter. I learned a secret from the light. I learned to watch it dancing. I learned to swallow light, to illuminate my darkness. I learned to feel love when I look upon my dark things. I learned this from a witch who was born of many gender. I learned to see a light. I learned to watch it glitter. I learned a secret from the light. I learned to watch it dance. tear, blood, hell, 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 tear, blood. Hell, tear, blood, hell, tear, blood, hell, tear, blood, hell, tear, blood. Tear, blood, hell, tear, blood, hell, tear, blood, hell, tear, blood. Yours to
can't see me, but you'll feel me in your flaming coffin. Up at his feet, which gave me a skeleton key of living bone to expose illusion of my own. Softly, can't see me, but you'll feel me in your flaming coffin.
Hello, everybody. It is so great to see all your digital non-existent faces in the chat. Welcome back to Arc 3, Episode 1, Lovers and Thieves. So we're going to hop right back into the action upon meeting Atalanta, the Champion of Nabal. But first, some reminders about our content warnings. Content warnings for our campaign in this session may include homelessness and houselessness, poverty and classism, a refugee crisis, natural disasters, economic injustice, alcohol and substance use, addiction, death of loved ones, memory loss, body horror, gore, fantasy violence, emotional trauma and baggage, self-destructive behavior, bloodletting, cults, and cult-like behavior, and anxiety and panic attacks described in detail. As a reminder, you can access these content warnings at any time using !CW in the Twitch chat. So with that out of the way, let's begin. The doors swing open, and I need all four of you to make a dex save.
Love it. $18.
20, non-natural.
26.
Shit.
It was a natural 19.
14. Okay, all of you are fine except for V, as a huge cabinet flies through the air and crashes at the threshold. And V, I need you to take, let's see, 8 points of bludgeoning damage from the exploding shrapnel of the cabinet.
This is
That's
so fitting.
karma. That's karma.
Yeah.
And nothing else happens, just that. Maybe with
And
the
that's
20.
the end of the episode.
I think with the 26, maybe Oka is just turning around to be like, "Hey, are you are you all ready?" And they turn and step at the same time as the cabinet just goes by, and they sidestep right out of in front of where V was.
That's really funny and cute. I think the cabinet just hits V and that's it. Just smashes into V, and V, I need you to make a strength saving throw.
Great, my lowest. 8.
You are smashed prone onto the marble ground as splinters of wood crack around you. And as you're reeling there, Manaya, Oka, and Dewey, the three of you see the champion's chamber. It looks very much like a throne room. There is a literal actual throne at the end of this chamber on a raised dais, because I love raised daises. Don't at me. And there's currently Atalanta sitting on the throne. She looks exactly like how I described her in the painting. Like she just stepped out of it, right? And she's currently kneading one side of her temple with her thumb and index finger, and looks extremely frustrated because 3 of her advisors are fighting. You see a very exhausted, bearded halfling person duck as a human has thrown a cabinet over their head with a huge bulging arm full of muscle, while an older gnome woman sits nearby and just sips tea. And your entrance, I don't think, has been noticed because the human's currently shouting at the halfling, "You're an absolute idiot if you think these chrysalis wackos deserve more help than the people at our southern borders." I'm just saying they shouldn't go unchecked, okay? Who knows what'll happen if, hey, and the human person like wrenches up like another cabinet and prepares to throw it.
I love that this person's weapon of choice is cabinets exclusively.
Was that it? Was that your contribution?
I feel like maybe there's a moment of like shocked like silence and stillness, and then Oka's like, "Wait, hold on. You can't throw cabinets at people." And I think they would probably like run in and try to like kind of like grapple this person from behind. You know, just go like, "Hey, stop fucking throwing things."
Okay, make a grapple check, Oka. So that is going to be an athletics check.
I think at this, Manaya's like reaches for Oka to stop, and then looks back at V and is like, "Damn it!" and goes to try to lift the cabinet off of V.
Could you repeat that last part closer to the mic?
Yeah, she's. I want to try to get the cabinet off of V.
Okay, sounds good. So Oka, make a grapple check. That's going to be athletics.
Yeah, and they're like, "Your fucking cabinet hit my friend!" As they roll a... Oh dear, I'll use an inspiration.
Okay.
A 18 to grapple.
Okay, that is sufficient. Describe to me how you restrain this person.
Oka is very familiar with the body, so to speak, and all the blood inside it. So I think they just kind of like as this person's like wrenching up the other cabinet, they hook one arm in the elbow and like pull back, and then the other arm just like across their chest to kind of just like hold them there, like from the back. And they're like, "The least you could fucking do is apologize and stop throwing things."
Hey, what the hell? Who did you? Guards, kill this assassin, kill this assailant. And I think upon that, like guards step out from behind like pillars that are holding up this room, and they're like holding like spears, etc. And at this point, in the chaos, Atalanta raises a hand and says, "Enough." And silence falls over the hall. The guards pause, and the human person like stops thrashing, and the halfling person sticks out a tongue, like very like vindictively at the human person. And Atalanta says, "I hate to see the 3 advisors to the championship behave in such despicable ways in front of guests. My apologies. Ribbit, I wasn't aware that I had another meeting after this." I'm so sorry. This is last minute on the docket. These 4, you see, they won the derby out in the court, and they're here to seek an audience with you, my champion. And on that, I'm gonna get out of here. And Ribbit turns and hops like out of the room because they do not want to be on the receiving end of this chaos. And Atalanta goes, "Is that so?" And the human person goes, "But my champion, we're not done talking about resource allocation. Amar, you and Young and Zora, why don't you stand off to the side and let me receive our guests, and we can go back to our conversation when this meeting is done." Fine. Unhand me, you cretin.
The cretin unhands them.
As Amar lets you go, Oka, Manaya, Dewey, and especially V, how do the 3 of you respond?
I mean, did I get the cabinet off of V?
The cabinet is completely smashed. It's just bits of cabinet wood everywhere, and I think V is like winded on the ground.
Okay, Manaya's tending to her, but as soon as she's like confirmed that she's okay, Manaya turns to the champion, probably still in a kneeling position, and does a Nuhan salute. It's the only salute she knows.
Okay.
Is there like a Nabalish bow of respect of some sort?
Yes, you would be aware of this custom, Dewey. What is it?
I think it is like a
like a fist.
kind of what?
Like a fist for Scott, right?
Yeah. It's sort of like you're holding one wrist with the other, and you're extending it so your hands are like facing up. And he bows his head as well.
Cool. And finally, V, as you're recovering from the bird spinning about on top of your head, what do you do?
He's gonna be slowly getting up thanks to Manaya helping her up, and she's just going to sort of cough and be Scott and Nectus, and like lift up a fist.
Yes, thank you. Please. Enough with the formalities. Come in. And I think 2 guards step forward and they like close the big pearl-handled doors behind you.
I guess Oka is the closest to Atalanta at this point. So they turn and they incline their head a little bit. Champion, we are the bone breakers, I think. And they kind of like look over their shoulder.
Manaya's
We are not the bone breakers, but we won the bone breaker race. We have a few questions for you, and I think they're actually kind of like nervously like fiddling with the end of their sash. Like even though they just like disarmed the guy throwing cabinets, they like suddenly seem to be a little nervous under her gaze.
At this, noticing that Oka's struggling a little, Manaya steps forward and says, Champion, we are members of the group that won the derby. We are here for an audience with you, but let us make it clear that we are not here for the secrets of the next
Championship?
What is this called? Championship games?
Championship challenge.
Championship. We're not here for the secrets to the championship challenge or to learn the deepest, darkest secrets. No, we're here to help. The cataclysm has affected us all, and we may not be much, but we're trying to do all we can.
Aren't there supposed to be 7 of you?
The others might find a different time. They got rather caught up at the beach, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I think the Bone Breakers are like still partying. You like left them behind. They like don't care about this anymore. Atalanta goes, I see. Well, this is unexpected. And all 4 of you feel this way?
Oka nods.
You're not going to see us trying out for the challenge anytime soon.
Well,
V.
and he just coughs.
I love that. Atalanta goes, please sit. She indicates like several like chairs scattered about a table. Several of the chairs are like broken, like smashed on the ground, presumably from a Mars rage. And you see like a couple like guards come forward and like start to like strike the debris from the space. And Atalanta goes, I'm so sorry you had to witness that disgrace. It's been hard for us, for all of us, since the cataclysm. Harder for the people, I'm sure, but being a ruler has its own unique challenges as well. You say you want to help. Well, you won this derby, which, I'm sorry, I don't know too much about the details, I just know it happened in the court. I didn't exactly approve it. I think Bomba signed off on it while she was having fun. But, well, congratulations on winning. And I'm impressed that you would want to use your prize to continue to help people as opposed to ask for gold or favors or land or horses or perhaps a pet tiger that can speak and do tricks for you.
Oka looks like they're going to say something, and then they think better.
Yes, these are all things that people have asked me for in the past as a champion, and I've said yes to some and no to most. But if I'm
Well-
to be honest, first, actually, introductions. I am Atalanta. What are your names?
Manaya, she,
Oka.
Cardi Quirk.
Vicky.
Okay.
She, her.
the
You can call me V, though. You can call me V.
All right. I also go by she, her, though in the past I've gone by many other mantles. You look familiar. And Atalanta's gaze settles on you, Dewey. Can't quite... Have we met before?
I don't know. Just one of those faces. No, why would I have met a champion before?
You did the Nabalian salute. I assume you're familiar with our customs.
I've lived here. I don't think, not super involved in the challenges, though.
Okay, make a deception check.
I think there's a look of horror that passes over Oka's face as she goes, I think I know you, but then like maybe her eyes go down toward Dewey and not up toward them, and they like, and then they like look at Dewey like, what the fuck? Wait, hold on, what?
I love that. What did you get?
14.
A 14. Okay, why don't you mark inspiration for your response? I thought that was very funny. And Manaya, take inspiration for introducing yourself with your pronouns. That was a great touch. Atalanta goes, okay. But she doesn't seem to be entirely, like, sold on it yet. However, she turns her attention to more pressing matters and says, I'm pleased to hear none of you are interested in the championship. I don't envy those who are foolish or ambitious enough to partake this year. Though it might be in all of our best interests, if your interests align with mine, of course, which is to protect the people of Nabal, if you would actually enter the championship this year. You see, Clotho Island has a problem. A very, very big problem. Rumors already scatter through the streets of Rosso, and they take our people to the heart of the jungle. There are whispers of a carnival. A pleasure fest. Something even more fun, more rewarding, more gratifying than what Bacchanalia Beach can offer. But everyone who's gone to check out this carnival in the depths of the jungle has not returned. I've sent some of my best people in there, they haven't come back.
Oka will kind of like look at the other party members and say, that sounds rather familiar, referencing the miners who disappeared into the mines.
We have quite a lot of things that we're juggling as the leaders of Nabal, or rather I do. But I hope to kill two birds with one stone here. Whoever is able to stop the carnival and hopefully return our people to the capital will be crowned the next champion. That will be the next challenge.
Well, that seems rather easy, doesn't it, friends? I think we could manage that.
Manaya ignores that and says, Champion, I think I can speak for all of us when I say we desperately want to help. But I can also speak for all of us when I say that none of us are interested in taking your place. We are travelers, and we have many things we need to do around Andake, and none of us can settle down to try to run this country.
I certainly can see your perspective. I don't envy my successor. They will inherit this mess. I, in fact, consider myself very fortunate that my term is ending this year. I see. The laws and traditions dictate that whoever wins the championship challenge must be crowned champion, but I suppose there's nothing preventing the champion from passing a law that passes their rule over to someone else. If you catch my drift.
Would that not take time? Would it not go through many people?
Champion has ultimate authority over everything. If you want it to happen in a minute, it will happen in a minute.
I think we may be getting ahead of ourselves here, though. We may not be interested in, well, what is it about the carnival that is so perplexing to you? Is it that people don't come back? What is it? Can you tell us more?
Well, there's the fact that people don't come back. There's also the fact that we don't know anything about it outside of that. Because anyone who's ever tried to go close enough to just take a look and return has not returned. Go ahead.
Does it move? Do we know where it is?
Somewhere in the depths of Clothau. I don't know if any of you would know this, but the northern side of the island, the untamed wilds of Clothau, have been marked off many years ago by a previous champion to be a wildlife preserve. And it was law, and has continued to remain law, that no people can go in there, set up camp, build homes, try to settle it. It's only for endangered species and animals that need protection. That's where the carnival is.
Since the cataclysm a few months ago, has anything come out of the forest? The jungle?
No. Only rumors of distant screaming and laughter.
Champion, are you aware of the other anomalies that have come up in the other regions of Andake since the beginning of the cataclysm?
I have heard tale, certainly, of strange things happening in every country. I heard that actually the rage in Dabathati in the Republic was stopped recently by a group of people that went as soon as they came. That's as far as I know. I'm a little busy. My hands are rather full here with Nabal's problems.
Oka is trying to get a read on Atalanta. Is she being kind of like forthright with us? Like, does it seem like maybe we actually know more than she does about the shards, the echoes, etc.?
Yeah, why don't you roll insight?
+21. That new +4 proficiency is baller.
Okay, I will answer your question, and you also get to ask a follow-up with a 21. She seems to be very forthright, actually. She seems to be laying all her cards on the table, and you get the sense that this is out of, like, I mean, her turn is about to end, fuck it, sort of situation. I'll just tell these randos what's going on, because they might be my last hope, And also, like, she doesn't seem to care so much about, like, power and politics, etc. Her heart seems to be genuinely to, like, help the people of Nabal. And that's her primary concern. You can ask a follow-up question if you want.
Oka's considering, like, just telling her who we are. Would we, like, get laughed out of the room?
She appears sincere. If you're like, we're paragons and we're here to save Andake because this is our destiny, is definitely kind of a reach, and there's other people in the room, so you might want to reconsider, like, telling her in confidence. But of all the people you've met, she is very likely to listen.
Oof, okay. I'm sorry, I'm thinking. There are so many important questions to ask. If anyone else has any other questions, you can ask them first.
V would probably actually ask in seriousness, what has been your relationship been like to the chrysalis during all of this?
Oh, chrysalis, a thorn in our side. As far as I'm aware, and as far as I care, they're just a group of cultist lunatics. They claim to worship the chrysalis. I think they're just a bunch of con people taking advantage of a desperate situation. They seem to offer help and food and assistance and medicine, all things we desperately need. But they also force people to join their group, to swear allegiance to their fake god and renounce God and Nectus. They're a thorn in our side, but they're not the biggest threat. There are other things more dangerous than them.
I mean, carnivals ostensibly have to be put on by someone. Are there... I mean, I think. Are there other groups of people you suspect have involvement in it?
I don't know. My best guess is it has to do with the cataclysm. The carnival started after the vanishing. It's probably some horrible night monster.
Manaya turns to the party and says, well, you know what they say. One's a happenstance, two's a coincidence, three's a pattern.
I don't like to not be forthright with people, Champion. We are working under an organization known as EGG, I think. Dr. Eluso, Hitsagatu Eluso, they tried to go... Have you talked with them? They said that they had tried... Is this true, that Dr. Eluso tried to come to the championship to talk to the champion? They would have tried to contact you some many months before the cataclysm. They were studying it, and now we, working under them, are, well, trying to fix what has been broken.
Ah, yes, that's why that name is so familiar to me. I feel so foolish. I had been contacted by this Hitsagutan person. Technically, my regent had been contacted, mentioned it offhandedly, but I thought it was one of their many ravings and ramblings.
Did you know about the cataclysm before it happened?
Of course not.
I think it may be best for you to keep the chrysalis at bay. The chrysalis that they worship, I think, may be connected to the heart of the cataclysm itself.
What are you getting at? What do you know about the chrysalis?
Oka would just kind of like turn to V to let her take this one.
Yeah, so back what feels like forever ago, I brought myself to the home of the chrysalis in Talamod, and their process for inducting people involves signing a contract, which seems to have probably magical properties that binds people to becoming enslaved by them. And then they're breeding horrible creatures in their basement that feed on people. And it seems like they have a vested interest in getting ahead of other groups about understanding the monstrosities that are presenting themselves in Andake since the cataclysm. And, you know, it seems as if their leader, Adam, is trying to get his piece of the pie, as we might say.
What?
They're weaponizing the shadow monsters. I don't know if they've made it to this island, but they had to be trusted.
They can even make them look very human.
They're worshipping the empty monsters.
So that's what the chrysalis is. You're sure all of this is correct? You confirmed it with your own eyes.
I met their leader myself, and I am lucky to be alive.
I see. Well, it appears the four of you are not just winners of some race. Perhaps fate is what brought all of us together today. I wonder if the chrysalis... Go ahead.
The last thing I want to do is brag to you, champion. but if you need proof of our abilities, the rage in Talmud was quelled by our hands, as well as the profane undeath in the court.
So that was the 4 of you as well. Fascinating. It almost feels like we're living in... I don't know. It almost feels like we're living in a heroic age again.
Children's stories. I can scarce believe it myself.
Yes, like we're in the Paragon War or something. Well, I wonder if the Chrysalis are the ones behind the disappearances on the Dragonfang coast. If what you say is true, Vicky, I'm sorry, V, and members of the Chrysalis are stealing away vulnerable people to feed to these shadow beasts in some twisted blood ritual, that would certainly explain the disappearances.
But I don't think it would explain the carnival. Those anomalies and the chrysalis are more like a vulture and a corpse, not so much a together situation.
There are folks out there enabling, if not creating, these anomalies. I think they're more capable than the chrysalis.
Oh, I meant anomalies like the rage and stuff and the profane undeath, not so much the monsters.
Okay.
It appears that the 4 of you have access to quite a lot of sensitive and highly desired information. Tell me everything you know. And she flicks her wrist to dismiss her advisors, and even the guards turn and leave the chamber until it's just the 5 of you alone. So do the 4 of you tell Atalanta, what do you tell her?
These anomalies, the rage, the profane undeath, and I imagine whatever this false carnival is, they're caused by what remains of the 8, the echoes of them. Baba, you can't sit in my lap right now. I'm trying to have a dramatic monologue. I'm so sorry. The echoes of Vanash and the Raven Queen. When you say that we're living in an age of paragons, you may be more right than maybe you wish to be.
You mean to tell me that the anomalies that are hurting people and vanishing people all across Andake are caused by the gods?
Shreds that still, fell into this plane when the cataclysm happened. We don't really understand, but I can prove to you that that's what they are.
What do you mean?
It's gonna take us. They're not gonna use Vanash, okay? So nobody get bananas here. But I think that they, the longer that Vanash is in them, even though it's like a parasitical kind of relationship, I think that there is some kind of relationship developing where Oka can call on Vanash and not expend so much energy. So I think that they kind of back up, kind of into the shattered remains, and they just drop their focus down. And they're the room gets that tense heaviness of static as their hair, which is now long, you can see in the nice art over here, starts to raise, very Studio Ghibli for a second. And their once blue eyes are now tinged with red veins, I think, as this red electricity starts to spark up and off their arms. And they just flare up in this hot red electricity.
Okay, Atalanta gets up out of her throne, and you see she somehow produced a trident in one hand, in a defensive position, as red static sparks off of your skin and your hair stands up.
And Oka says, "I'm not going to hurt you." And there's this tiniest underlay of this like deep, rumbling, mountainous voice.
Okay. And I think Atalanta recognizes what you just did for what it is, that there is an echo of Vinash inside you. And she sort of like staggers backward, like clutching her trident, and says, "But how? I don't understand. How can this be?"
And it takes some time for like Oka to like calm down again, you know, because it's like they get like angry almost, and their like fingers like start to shake with anger, like if they have to give a little to get a little, I think. So as they like are trying to like recenter themselves, like and bring it all down, they would let somebody else field that question, I think.
When the world and its people are threatened by a great calamity, heroes find a way to appear and do what they can. Do what we can.
It was, and I think Oka like still kind of like seething with this rage, you know, from behind Manaya, like kind of behind Manaya's, like it was never a fucking choice. And they kind of like, as they're like coming down a little.
And Manaya steps back and puts a hand on their shoulder.
You are chosen by the war god?
No. No. No, I'm not. But we were chosen by one of the 8, each of us.
You mean to tell me the 4 of you are paragons?
Oka just kind of like looks at her, you know, like, I showed you, you know.
I see. And like she like lowers the trident, and she like whisks it with her hand, and then it just vanishes out of existence. And she sits back down on the throne, but like there's like a fate, like you just like shattered her worldview, you know, like this is like saying that like Jesus Christ is real and you prove it, you know, sort of situation. So she's sitting down on the edge of the throne, like taking all this shit in, you know, like idly touching this like crown of like kelp. I think that's like wound around her pearlescent horns. And as she considers this, do any of the 4 of you cut in to say anything else?
After maybe like 45 seconds or like a minute of slightly awkward contemplative silence, Manaya speaks up and she says, "Champion Atalanta, there are few pressing questions we have for you. Chief among them, this carnival, this anomaly that's happening in your country. Secondary, with the knowledge that we are paragons, we know there are others out there. There are 4 of us, we've met 1 that makes 5. We're looking for 3 more. Do you have any leads, any people who stick out, anyone who could help us reverse or help this cataclysm at all?"
I have to think about this, certainly, Manaya. So to which gods are you pledged?
I am a proud Uhan and Paragon of Mahu.
Sen. Although I think we're still trying to figure those 2 out.
I've been having dreams of Scald and Nectus lately.
I haven't, you know, Pledge to any. And then I think someone elbows you, and he's like, Galtanger. Probably. Best guess.
I think her response is like, you, Scott and Nectus? You, Galtanger? like is like the more unbelievable one. But she pauses and says, V, are you from the championship? I don't understand. I'm sorry. It's just the paragons of yore. Some of them had humble beginnings, I suppose, but they were always, well, they were paragons of their gods. They represented the best of them.
I've come from Jukai, but I have been wandering in Andake for a very, very long time.
I rather like to think that shattered gods deserve rather shattered paragons.
Well, if all of what you're telling me is true, and something in my heart is telling me that it is, then it is my duty as the champion of Nabal to assist you on your quest to restore balance to Andake. I will do everything in my power to help.
We thank you for your kindness, and I believe, Dewey, you might have one more. And Manaya, subtly gestures to her wrist.
Yeah, so I might explode at any time.
What?
This is a unwanted gift, let's say. Hoping you can have some insight on that once we deal with the carnival.
Do you want to bring up the ingredient that is native to the championship that she might know where it is?
Ingredient?
Yeah, because remember, when you talked to the book owner, she'd given you a list of ingredients from each area, so you would know what it is.
Okay.
If you want to bring it up, I can tell you what it is.
Sure.
Okay, so you would know, you've studied this recipe for freedom quite a lot, I think, over the past couple of weeks. And the one from the championship is an old rune stone. It's basically like a piece of ancient technology, back from the age of giants and dragons, that is rumored to be buried somewhere within the championship, and to contain a lot of magical powers.
Yeah. So he shows her this textbook of sorts that's been scribbled and annotated all over the place, and he's like, so do you think this carnival in the middle of a forest is gonna have any underground places this would be hidden?
Do you open up the textbook and show the drawing of the runestone?
Yeah.
Underground places. Well, what underneath Clothow Island is Ingir Lake. That rune looks familiar, though. I've definitely seen it somewhere before. I feel like I've seen it in the capital. Hold on. And she gets up and retreats behind the throne and comes out a couple moments later with a business card that she hands to you and says, I'm pretty sure this person markets in prosthetics made from ancient technology, and hands you the business card of Tonga, a name that you would recognize.
Great. I'll take a look later.
This person owns a shop in the capital, somewhere by the storm tower.
Yeah, I know where it is. I mean, I probably have seen it. I've been in the capital before. Cool, thanks.
I feel like perhaps we are used to Dewey's bumbling at this point and can kind of like discern it. Would it be okay with you, Max, if I rolled some insight to see how Dewey's doing? Is that okay, Connie?
Yeah, go for it.
15 total.
Okay, with a 15, Oka, you can ask a question of Dewey, and Dewey, it's up to you if you want to answer truthfully or not.
Is Dewey doing that fun little thing where he's hiding some part of his past that is like kind of like alarming, you know, like I worked for the URL, or I have a bomb watch, or I have a daughter?
Yeah, you saw him like look at the business card for like half a second, like not even looking at the address or whatever, and then like putting it away. So you gather this is a person and place that he knows.
Interesting. Very interesting. Oka notes that for later.
Oka will remember this.
Yeah.
Yes. After this exchange with Dewey, Manaya, Oka, V, do you have any more follow-up questions for her as she's like reeling and taking in the fact that you're paragons?
I think Oka would ask some like pretty simple questions about like what kind of anomalies have you, like what other kind of anomalies have you seen? We heard about like lava and rocks, you know, like what kind of monsters come up out of here? Like tell me more about the people disappearing on the coast, like a few more questions like that.
Totally. Then in that case, I think Atalanta will give you a rundown of everything happening in the Champion. Now that she knows that the four of you are like mythic, rumored, destiny-chosen heroes, she's willing to divulge some sensitive championship secrets. So she says, well, first of all, there are the constant, unnatural, magical disasters spread all across the championship that are destroying homes, displacing people, and even killing people who are caught up in it. Firestorms, fissures splitting open, sudden snowstorms in the middle of the scrublands, that sort of thing. And then, of course, there are the night monsters. It's what we call them, terrorizing people all across the championship as well. The scrublands, Brittlefinger Woods, the Azer, Grovelands, and of course, Dragonfang Coast to the south. These night monsters, I've heard all sorts of reports. Creatures made of that resemble hands, made of shadows, with huge biting mouths, gigantic creatures with huge beaks that peck you out from the middle of the sky and fly off with your limp body, huge bumbling, I don't know, like tank-like creatures with spikes coming out of their armored shells that they place bodies onto. It's horrifying. I mean, Andake has always been home to a host of magical monsters and creatures, but nothing like these ever. And then, of course, there's the Chrysalis, another thorn in our side, and the fact that magic users are losing magic, seemingly at random. And, of course, the disappearances of people by the South Shore, the Dragonfang Coast, that's unrelated to the carnival, but now I think might be because of the Chrysalis. And then, of course, the carnival.
At the mention of the monsters, specifically the ones with hands and mouths, Manaya like sort of curls up a little bit and starts rubbing her arms.
I think Oka would make a few notes about any monster descriptions that they hadn't come across, but those all seem rather familiar. So they're also making note that there are only so many forms of these monsters so far. But they do make any notes of new ones.
Yes, one of the new ones she described seemed to be like, the way she described it, like a huge armored turtle with spikes coming out of the shell, that every time they like killed someone, they would like put the corpse like on the spikes, you know, and like other, like, I think she also describes like other monsters you haven't heard of before. And let's say, Oka, because you're a resident monster hunting expert, you can mark down 3 tallies somewhere on your character sheet. You can spend any one of these tallies at any time when I describe a monster you haven't encountered before to say, I actually know this monster. Atalanta describes it, and I know a weakness.
Oh, shit!
Well, dang,
Damn right I
level up.
can. All right.
Your monster knowledge tallies.
What should I call this box? My monster box? My monster dating sim checkbox? my monster manual. Oh, that's gonna be, anyway, that's gay. Go on.
Okay. Oka, that's what you ask Atalanta about. Manaya V?
I think V's kind of, when she was talking about herself and coming from Jukai. I think she's a little bit lost in her memories, actually. If we want to do a V backstory.
That segue into a V backstory flashback. Okay, that sounds good to me. But before we do that, go ahead, Manaya.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah, maybe like as we're walking out, Manaya says, Champion, our priority, of course, first and foremost, is helping the people, stopping this carnival, and we will do so to the best of our abilities. On a more personal note, there's about 3 decades ago, there was a magical occurrence on the South Shores, Dragonfang Coast. I don't know where it was, and I was wondering if you knew where I might start.
What kind of magical occurrence? I was a young girl then.
And Manaya like pauses for a moment as she thinks to the princess, don't kill me for saying this.
Manaya, what are you doing? Manaya! You can hear the princess in your head, but like as you like shake her off, like her voice fades back.
Report of a small girl changing the seasons. That, I guess, started somewhere in southern Nabal.
Oh, yes, that does sound familiar. The turning of the leaf. Yes. Suddenly, the seasons changed one day. I wasn't there, but I'd heard rumors of it. I had a couple cousins living on the Dragonfang coast then. And when they visited us at the capital, they talked about all the leaves changing colors, the weather growing warmer. It was beautiful.
Do you know where it was?
Oh. Well, my cousin was from a town that had heard about it from the nearby town, which was close to where the turning of the leaf had occurred. Ah, yes. And she gives you the name of a seafaring town on the Dragonfang coast. And I think the name of this place is Oberon.
Fairy King, where the Fey Princess of Leaves happened to make an appearance. I see where you're going from. But thank you, Champion, for indulging a selfish request.
Of course, any help or assistance I can render is, I swear it on my name and on my honor as a champion. And Manaya, is everything okay? You look distraught.
I wasn't alive back then, but the turning of leaves was important in my family's history, and I'd like to visit and pay respects.
Of course. You said you were from Wuhan, though, right? Do you have family in the championship?
Not anymore. My mother passed through years ago, but...
My condolences. I'm sure her spirit lives on in you. And maybe on that, we like pan to like V's kind of like zoned out face, right? As all this conversation about gods and destiny and family and love is like swirling around her. And we zoom in on V's face. What is the expression we zoom in on, V?
I would say just like glassed over eyes, really. She's imagining a time perhaps about 85-ish years or so ago. So V would be in her mid-20s. Cue external shot, the god spine, perhaps. Can I just like go
yes,
with
go
something
for it. Run with it. Go for it.
So we see the god spine, right? And there's all these little caves here and there, and you can see perhaps this little white elf coming out of one cave, looking around, maybe, crawling up here, going there, trying another cave. Hours later, you see coming out from one cave. V is just exploring all of these caves she can find in the god spine. She's looking for her father, the white dragon that her mother spoke about on her deathbed. About 8 or so years ago, 7 or 8 years ago. And she's looking. She's in a cavern. She cuts into a cavern. She's using Ray of Frost. It's kind of, wet cavern. She's using Ray of Frost. It's one of the first spells she ever was able to produce. It's how she sort of discovered her magical abilities and is like freezing the water to get across, underground rivers and everything. And she's looking. It's a very cold cave, almost ice-like. So she's thinking perhaps if he's a white dragon, the little bit of mythology that does exist about dragons, these white dragons would probably be near the cold. So she's looking and looking, and she gets to perhaps a doorway of some type, but it's kind of been caved in, and she's casting Ray of Frost on everything and trying to break things away, break things down, and she's trying and trying, and the working herself up, her mage hand starts to come out of her hand and starts helping clear away the rubble, and she manages to get in. She's really excited because she's never gotten. In fact, as she's doing, she thinks she hears rumbling from inside that perhaps from a large creature, and she's excited because she's spent weeks, months, perhaps even a couple of years. She doesn't look like she normally does. She's not in some nice outfit. She's very much in rags. She's very disheveled. She's kind of a shadow of the V that you know her today. And she finally gets in there and she hears the rumbling sound. She looks around. She sees the shadow on the wall. It's very large. And she has to kind of go around the corner, and it's nothing there. It's just a little opening that casts shadows on the rocks to look like a dragon on the wall. And she starts crying. She falls to her knees. She starts talking out loud. I almost believed, Mother, when she was dying that you existed. I was foolish enough to maybe believe that for once in her life, before she died, she told me the truth. But I know now that there's nothing in these caves. There's nothing in these mountains. There's just nothing. And there's nothing more here for me. There's nothing here in my home. There's nothing here in Jukai. There's nothing in Andake for me. I've had a mother tell me constantly that I was special, that I had a destiny. And as far as I know, if there is such a thing as gods, they must not be anywhere near Andake. They must be off doing other things, not interested in the going-ons of Andake. I really wanted to believe that you were somewhere here, Father. I really wanted to believe that at least someone actually cared about me. And I wanted to believe that maybe I was special. But obviously I was fooled. Obviously that was just delusions from an unhealthy woman. And so I'm going to leave this place. I'm going to never return. I'm going to never let anybody ever get away with telling me a lie. And if there's anybody who's going to get one over on the next person, it's going to be me. I'm going to always make sure that I and I alone am taken care of. And V cries a little bit more. And after, some time, her tears have subsided. Her breath returns. She stands up. She wipes away. She takes a deep, deep breath. And she turns from when she came. She walks towards that door. And when she steps through that door, she becomes the V. Any semblance of her old life is gone. She forgets about it. She sets about becoming whoever she needs to be at any given time for her own survival. And we slowly slide back to V's eyes. They start to focus. She shakes off the memory, and she joins her friend out as they are in that room.
That was awesome. Take a point of inspiration for that, Erica. That was amazing. I think, if I might add a little bit of spice to that, before we pull back to your eyes, even though that was a beautiful transition, on the closing of the door, we pan like deeper into this chamber, right? Like where you were standing, and then we pan past that to the back of the cavern, sort of in like a dingy, iced over corner that you didn't bother to check. We see a glittering white scale. And then we flash back to the present, where V, you're standing there, and then I think the noise and the hubbub of all the conversation and Atalanta's troubled voice comes back. It's like you were a warrior in the trenches and a bomb went off, and your hearing sort of escaped you. Now it's coming back in vibrations, and then you gather yourself to hear Atalanta go, "Well, thank you to the four of you for deciding to use your powers for good, to help restore balance to Andake, to bring it together from its sundered state. I know many people, unfortunately, in my own domain's employ, who, upon discovering they were Baragons or blessed with this divine power, would probably run off with it, do nothing but help themselves. Though I suppose someone like that wouldn't have been chosen to be a Paragon in the first place."
Thank you graciously for the compliment, Champion, but none of us have found our shards of the gods we are paragons of, and Oka hurts every time they try to use Vanash, which is why we're trying to look for the paragons, to give Vanash and Yudabathi to the rightful owner and gather our own little team of 8 to hopefully combat this.
We've brought together the Raven Queen and her paragon, but so far that's it. It's the only other person we found.
I see. Well, I know you asked me if I had any leads on potential paragons, but I only know of people who have accomplished great deeds. So if a paragon is here and they were a pearl in the rough, I doubt I would have heard about them. I am aware of the most likely championship hopefuls for this year. People who, regardless of what the challenge would be, have been training their entire lives, or at least for the past 5 years, to take the throne. I can tell you about those people. I can also certainly set the four of you up with rooms here in this tower, the best rooms available, so that you might recuperate and recover and spend your time there when you're not busy trying to save the world, of course. And if this timeline works for the four of you, my plan, as well as my advisor's plan, was to announce the championship challenge at the end of Dragon, which is this month. Should give you a couple of weeks to prepare.
I think that prep time would do us well, at least to get acclimated with Rosso and, well, everything. And of course, I think it would do us well to talk more. I'm sure we've overloaded you with information. Perhaps we can meet again.
Yes, let us meet again, perhaps tomorrow in the morning. I need to take all this information back and think about what to share with my advisors and what not to share. Thank you for entrusting me with this information. It was the right thing to do.
Thank you for being so open. It's a nice change of pace to have someone in a position of power on our side.
Of course. I'm not the same person who won the championship 5 years ago, and I'm grateful for that. All right, well, then I'll get the four of you situated in your rooms. Do you prefer separate rooms, or do you all wish to room together? Is there a preference?
Well, I don't want to take up room unnecessarily, considering that there are plenty of people who need rooms, but I'll take whatever space is available.
We're used to sharing rooms.
Especially when those rooms are tents in the wasteland.
Well, I don't want our paragons to have to sleep in tents in the wasteland.
Don't think of us as your paragons, please. We're just here to help.
Understood. Though I know our situations are hardly comparable, but being the champion of one of the 8 powers of Andake, I can tell you this. Once you ascend to a certain level of responsibility and power, your life is no longer your own. My life belongs to the people, and your lives belong to Andake. I'll get you set up with rooms. And is there anything else you would like to talk to her about before she, brings guards in and, gets you situated in the tower?
I think we're good.
Okay. So maybe on that speech of hers, Atalanta claps her hands, and the guards re-enter the room, advisors re-enter the room, and I think the four of you are whisked out, right, by a small retinue of armed palace guards, basically, who lead you back down through the throne room, and then you can hear the 3 advisors beginning to fight again in front of Atalanta. And she just goes, "Can we save this for tomorrow?" And I think that's the thing we end on as the doors close on that throne room.
Actually,
Yes?
might I amend that scene a little bit?
Yeah, what's up?
As the door is closing and as these advisors come in and start arguing again, Manaya's hand clenches around her axe. And she turns around and is going to throw it at their feet to get them to stop arguing. Because they're just going around in circles.
Okay. What are you trying to do to make them stop arguing, and what?
Make them stop arguing and talk a little more calmly.
By throwing a huge weapon at them? Okay. Roll intimidation. Athletics. So let's say this is a strength intimidation roll.
Strength intimidation. $19.
Okay. Describe to me what it looks like.
So Manaya whips around and throws her axe at their feet and says, "Talk calmly or not at all. There's a lot going on in this country, and the people need you to be level-headed."
I think silence falls, as Yang and Amar they yip and they jump away from the axe as it splinters, I think, the wood, at their feet. And Zora, who I didn't name yet, but that's the name of this like older gnome woman who's just still sipping tea. She chuckles. She goes, hee, oh, I like this one. And Amar goes, my champion, are you really going to let some stranger from who knows where threaten one of your top advisors? Amar, please, now's not the time, and you have been getting on everyone's nerves. Heed her words. Manaya, if you don't mind, retrieving the axe.
Right. And Manaya, do I want to be Thor with this? Fuck it, I'm Thor. And Manaya reaches her hand out, and the axe wiggles a little bit, and then unlodges itself and flies back into her hand, as it is now her bonded weapon.
Oh,
As a warlock
cool.
pact boon.
Very cool. I think Yang and Amar both gasp as like the axe vibrates and then like swivels back into your palm. And Amar goes, why, I never, great Scott and Nectus, this kind of arrogance inside our very halls.
Manaya's walking.
You will rue this day. You will rue the day you crossed me, big woman. Amar's shouting after you. And you hear Atalanta go, please, enough, Amar. Haven't you learned your lesson? Guards, let's scrub that out of the varnish. As the doors begin to close behind you all. Oka, was there something you wanted to say or do?
No, I was just hype.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, Devin, why don't you take a point of inspiration for that intimidation move and the very, very cool Thor hammer moment.
Just anything to get the administration of this country to do something.
Instead of just like bicker.
She's had enough of Bamba neglecting her duties. She's had enough of these advisors arguing. She's just done.
Okay. And maybe on that, like the doors close, and like we see our four heroes like silhouettes like against the closing of the door. And I think that's where we can end our very yes, Devin?
Were we not going to check in with the doctor at the end here? I mean, we can end early. We can end now if you'd like.
We are 30 past, so maybe that's something we can save for next episode.
Okay.
Yeah, when we're in our quarters and settled in and stuff. Okay, awesome. So let's end Arc 3, Episode 1 there. That was Lovers and Thieves, an introduction to the Championship of Nabal and Atalanta. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. I have been your GM and executive producer by Connie Chong on Twitter and itch. I use all pronouns. Yeah, you can catch the next episode of Transplanar RPG next Saturday. That is going to be May 15th at 3 p.m. U.S. Central Time. Arc 3, Episode 2. Oh my goodness, is our party going to be up to as they prepare for the championship challenge and the carnival? Looks like Dewey's got some leads to follow. Manaya's got some leads to follow. I wonder what V and Oka are going to be up to. So tune in next week for that, and I'm going to pass along introductions to Devin.
Hello, everyone. My name's Devin. I use they, them pronouns. I'm the artistic director of Shout, Minnesota's trans and gender diverse choir. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Shout Minnesota. You can also find me on our Discord server full of wonderful, wonderful people sharing wonderful, wonderful pictures of their pets and also, I guess, talking about the campaign or something and quoting the stupid shit we say on stream. And also the good shit, too. Don't worry. And with that, I'll pass it on to Erica.
Hi, everybody. It's me and Erica. Thank you, everybody, for that $215, if I did my math right. Thank you so much. It was a blast to the chaos of improvising a bunch of stuff for V. So thank you. I'm still going live this weekend at Erica New Girl here on Twitch. Tonight, I'm going to eat some food, self-care for a little bit. Then I'm back tonight, finishing Resident Evil 8. And then I'll probably jump into Resident Evil 7. I'll be playing a lot of Resident Evil 7 for the foreseeable future. Just know that much. And tomorrow I'll be back as well playing some Resident Evil 7. But I have some fun incentives planned for tonight's stream. So come check in, come say hello, and let's keep raising money for Lupus Foundation of America. And that being said, I will pass it on to Max.
Hey, I'm Max. Go by they, them pronouns. I've played Dewey. His hair is so big because it's full of secrets, Cork. And you can find me on Instagram mostly doing textile arts at Stitchmonger. And pass it to C.
Hi all, my name is C. I use they, them pronouns. I'm a dancer, digital artist, tabletop streamer. I did the new character art that you can see here on the overlay. If you're interested in commissioning me, I am taking, like headshot commissions, etc. for, especially for D&D tabletop parties, streams, pods, and projects. If you want party art, I would be happy to do that for you. So check me out on the internet, Tumblr, Instagram, or Twitter at PySharpArt. And you can watch me streaming Tuesdays, Fridays, and another day, I haven't decided exactly when yet, on Py_Sharp. I played Okahye, your local god, Taxi, and Bad Boy. And with that, I'll pass it back. Wait, I wanted to say something. Go buy my merch, okay? Use the ! merch command to get to the merch store because I worked so hard. You can buy shit cow stickers. You can buy socks with cool things on them. You can buy Benaya Bonk emoji stickers. You can buy a Dalapathi Sai apron.
Y'all were so thirsty for telepathy. Now prove it.
Prove it. You want to say you're thirsty for doll? Prove it. And with that, I'll pass it right over to Connie.
Thank you for that very chaotic sign off, y'all. We will see you next week, Saturday, May 15th at 3 p.m. U.S. Central Time, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern for for Arc 3 Episode 2. And tune in the week following that on Wednesday the 19th and Thursday the 20th for Roll for Solidarity, uplifting Asian and Black creatives in TTRPGs, which is a 2-day charity stream that will be hosted right here on Transplanar RPG, starting at 4 p.m. U.S. Central Time until 8:30 p.m. on both days, Wednesday and Thursday, 19th and 20th. Not actual play games. These are going to be panel discussions where we talk about an array of subjects, and all money raised will be split evenly between Stop Asian Hate and Black Lives Matter organizations and fundraisers. So please mark the date, save the date, Wednesday and Thursday, May 19th and 20th from 4 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. U.S. Central Time both days. And on that, let's raid someone. So I'm going to drop the raid message there, and we are going to raid GV_Anna, who is playing Overcooked 2, a fun video
she's so
game.
Fun.
Yeah, so please stay tuned for that. Drop Transplanar love in the chat, Manaya love, and use the Transplanar is plane shifting into your stream raid message for that. I'm going to wait for mobile users to catch up, but for now, you go to the offline stream. I go to yes, I. Thank you for saying this in a way that no one can hear or see. So I'm going to go to the offline screen, but stick around so everyone is together to raid. We love you all so much. We will see you later at Erica's stream. We will see you later at C's stream. We will see you later at our next stream next Saturday. Peace. We love you so much.